Today I'm going to go through our delivery profitability calculator tool. It's a new tool to help you look at your delivery fee and maybe consider if you are charging enough or not, or really just to make sure you're factoring all these costs in. If you're not getting them in the delivery fee, where in your business are you making sure that those fees are covered, or where's that money coming from? So this is a Plus tool, so it's part of our Plus package if you're watching this on YouTube, which is £10 a month for all the tools, or currently it's on special at £60 for the year if you pay in advance. We've also got an option where you can try it completely free for 7 days. You can cancel at any time. That gives you a chance to have a good look at the tools and decide whether that's something you want to continue paying the £10 or the £60 a year for, knowing that there's new tools coming every month. Anyway, enough about that. So let's get into the delivery profitability calculator. So there's two different calculator modes. There's quick and there's detailed. The quick is what you would call a fag packet maths, I suppose. And the idea is to give you a quick snapshot to know whether your delivery fee is enough to cover your costs in small amount of detail. So then the detailed, if you really want to drill into the numbers, that is there, but I'll go through them both individually. I'm going to use figures from my own business. For those of you who don't know, I own a shop called Book of Flowers and Gifts in Liverpool, which I've had for 15 years. So these figures are realistic figures based on what we know about the industry. So I will use what my delivery fee is. So I'm going to change that to 7.5. And I know a lot of people charge that standard. Regardless, even if it's just down the road. And I know a lot of people might think that's expensive, but as you will see in this, that is possibly enough, possibly not enough, depending on what you want to factor into your delivery fee. So we've got 7.5 for the delivery fee, wage per hour. Now it defaults, you select your region, it defaults to the minimum wage of your region. However, those of you that have already used our calculate the true cost of employment calculator will know that even if you're paying somebody minimum wage, the cost to the business is a lot more. You'll know it's closer to £15 an hour that you are spending on that person. And also, hopefully, you're able to pay them a bit more than minimum wage. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to do 50 an hour. Then you can see suddenly it's changing things over here. Area type. So to make this easier for the calculation, we've done city, which is 3 an hour. So if it's not a peak time and you haven't got lots close together, a realistic delivery is 20 minutes to delivery. We're city based, so we know that that's fairly realistic time. And then suburban, if you're having to go out quite a bit, 2.5 an hour on average. And if you're very rural, you might only be able to get 2 deliveries in an hour. So we are going to change it to that, city driving. However, if you're wanting to have a look and you're saying, well, I'm just wanting to see how much I'm making an hour in my peak driving when I'm charging this amount for delivery, well, actually, you could change that to there. Let's say 5 an hour. You can do that. Override it. So let's pop that back. Hours per day that you're delivering, delivery drivers are delivering, so it's only calculated for the hours that are actually getting delivered. For us, I'd say it's probably is about 5 hours is probably about realistic. Some days it might be a bit more, some days it's a bit less. And how many days a week? And we are 7 days a week, so I'm going to pop that in there. Now in the calculator, the quick mode uses a £1 per delivery fee, and this is to take into account fuel and things like insurance. What it doesn't take into account is actually the cost of the vehicle itself and other fees that you might want to factor in, which we'll go through more in the detailed calculator. So what you'll see there, based on that, if figures from my own business, we're making per hour 25p, or roughly 10p a delivery. And then it breaks it all down and tells you all that sort of thing. So annual profit on our deliveries is 455. However, as I've said earlier, that doesn't take into account the cost of the actual vehicle. So is that enough? Quite possibly not. over here, so in the cost breakdown, you can see your biggest cost is always going to be wages. That's why employing right is so important. And yeah, so it breaks it all down there. So now we're going to go and have a look at similar figures in the detailed calculator. So I'm just going to get that up. Got a bit Blue Peter-esque here. Here's some figures I prepared earlier. Now, when I put similar figures into the more detailed, because it's going on more factual data, actual costs, I can already see per run, which if it's 3 deliveries per run, or yeah, if it's per run, I'm losing 18 pence. So that's a little bit of a different picture. Annually, I'm actually losing £140. That's a bit of a change from making £450. So I'll just talk you through my figures here. So again, it's back to the 7.5. We're doing 5 deliveries a run. We're doing approximately 2 runs a day. The distance per run, I've gone on roughly 5 miles a run, taking into account that you're having to come back as well in these things. Obviously, that does vary. We're going to stick to the 15.50 an hour. Then I have used my miles per gallon fuel efficiency and costs there. I've stuck to 20 minutes per delivery. However, you can factor things like loading time and maybe any other costs that you have. And then the insurance, I've popped that in as £100 a month because I know that's what we pay. But you can also put things maybe like parking and tolls. You might have a place where you have to spend a lot more on tolls and things. You might want to factor that in. And you might also want to factor a failed delivery rate in. But then with all those figures, what that doesn't take into account is the cost of the vehicle. So when I look at this, we'll come back to doing the cost of the vehicle. You can also do carbon offsetting as well if you want to make sure you're paying enough for that. If I pull this down to saying we do want to make a profit, but we only want to make a 5% profit on our delivery. With these figures that I've put in up here, not taking into account the vehicle, I should probably be charging £8 a delivery. However, I'm going to now factor in my vehicle costs. So we have owned, I think we purchased it for 20,000. We could probably sell it for 10,000 now. So let's say the purchase price is 10 because you're only wanting to factor in the price that you pay that's covering this lifetime that you're putting here, which is 5, and annual distance. Let's go. That isn't there. I might want to put some maintenance in there, but let's just change that now. Let's say, I don't know what to put for maintenance, but you can drill down that far into it. Let's put nothing for now. But then once I've put that vehicle in, you can see, so then it's telling me actually to break even, I'm needing to actually charge more like £9 rather than the £8 I was thinking. And if I'm wanting to make a small 5% profit, I'm looking at £9.50 a delivery run. So hopefully using this, it'll open your eyes, and it might open your eyes to where there are leaks in the business, where you can make sure you're factoring things in. So it's not, the idea isn't to scare you, but it's to make sure that you are factoring everything in. I know sometimes you may say, well, I could never charge £10 a delivery or whatever it is that my calculator is telling me I should be charging. So then you maybe need to look at, well, okay, I'm going to charge £8 a delivery now, but where can I get the other, £1.50 from? Can I, every item that goes out, take £1.50 off? So it's about working these things out cleverly to make sure you are covering your costs and you've got no financial holes in your business. You're plugging those financial holes in your business. Hopefully you find that useful. As always, if you have any questions, if you would like to see differences in the calculators, or you've got ideas for newer calculators, please do tell us your thoughts. We love to hear them. Thank you.